Hello, my lovelies. Here we are doing another spell for you guys. This is going to be basically to make sure that you're constantly on your partner's mind. Now, this could be done for those that have recently had a separation, a falling out, an argument, or if basically you've been broken up and you're trying to get that person back to you. Now, this is a very strong and prominent spell. As you guys know, they are all ritualized. I'm actually working for a specific client. So this is the last stages of the spell. And I'm going to be taking you guys through it. So as you guys can see, we have 7 different tea lights. They must be white. They cannot be any other color. They have to be white. And you're also going to need a red skull candle. The skull being the representation of the mind of the person that you're doing this for. You're also going to be needing a red candle separate from the red skull candle, and it must be lit. As you guys can see here, we're lighting the red candle. We're also going to be needing a black candle, but the black candle will be lighted a little bit afterwards. I will guide you guys through this process. So like I said, you're going to be needing 7 tea lights. You're going to be needing a red skull candle. You're also going to be needing a red candle separate and a black candle, as well as brown parchment paper, as you guys can see here. The parchment paper is going to be for the petition. Now you're going to be writing the partner's name, or the person that you're trying to get back to you or to have communication and often stay on their mind. You're going to be writing down their first name, last name, and date of birth. Once you do that, you're going to be turning the paper to your right, and you're going to be writing down your name, your last name, your date of birth 3 times over their name. Yes, this is your name. It's going to go, again, like I said, you're going to turn it to the side, to your right side, and you're going to be putting your first, last name, and date of birth. You're also going to be needing 2 pictures. So it's going to be the picture of the partner and a picture of yourself facing each other. In the back of the piece of paper, you're going to, not the piece of paper, the picture, sorry guys. You're going to be writing down the first name and last name of the partner, as well as on your picture, you're going to be writing down your first name and last name with date of birth. Once you do this, what we're going to do is, like I said, you're going to be writing down the partner's name, turning the parchment paper to the right, writing down your first name and last name with date of birth 3 times. And then you're going to turn it once more, and you're going to write down the petition. Once the petition is written, you guys need to make sure to be specific on what exactly you're wanting them to do. So this will be the part where you would put, I want them to think of me constantly, reach out to me, communicate, be more loving towards me, or constantly think of reconciliation, etc. Once you do that, you're going to fold the paper towards you. And once you do that, what you're going to do is you're going to interject the petition in between both you and your partner's pictures. Now, once you do that, as you guys can see here, you're going to put the petition inside both you and your partner's pictures. Like I said, the pictures must be facing each other. So the parchment paper will go inside both pictures, and you're going to be tying it with black thread. As you guys can see here, you're going to be going around. Make sure when doing this, you're calling out exactly what it is that you're wanting, and you're going to tie 3 knots to this thread. It has to be black. It cannot be red. It cannot be white. It cannot be any other color but black. Which is why it's integrated with the black candle. So again, once you do this, you're going to tie 3 knots to it. Once that is done, you're going to be putting this at the bottom of the skull candle. As you guys can see here. One of the tea lights actually went out, And this is a normal process. This usually indicates a bit of resistance. Just make sure to light it again with the red candle. Should anyone's go out before the actual time, always relight it with the red candle that you have on the side. So now we're going to be using here siete machos. This is a Latin oil or cologne that we use to rekindle any type of relationships, to pacify anger or animosity. But ideally, again, like I said, it's called siete machos. Now we're also going to be using John the Conqueror oil, and you're going to be giving a few drops of each. And here is the most important ingredient. This is dove's blood. Now, I don't want to hear it from all of you guys. If you are more on the eclectic side and don't want to use or integrate, what we use as, original witchcraft, then you can go and purchase prepared dove's blood. But here, for this particular spell, it will give you amazing results if you actually use the real, dove's blood. Anyways, with that being said, once you do this, you're going to be rubbing it around the skull, calling out the partner's name, and telling them basically what it is that you're wanting. Once you're doing this, you're going to be adding some powders. Now, I have on my mortar a mixture of licorice root that you're going to be kneading, very important. Confectioner's sugar, which is powdered sugar. You can use regular sugar if you prefer, but I like to use the powder because it allows the wick to burn a little bit better. And you're also going to be using aniseed, or what is it called? Semilla de anís. So once you have these, what you're going to do is, again, like I said, you're going to mix them so that you can then integrate them and put them over the skull. Again, saying out loud exactly what it is that you're wanting when preparing these powders. It's very important when doing any type of spell work to charge them, to make sure to put energy and direction towards the energy that you are projecting onto the ingredients and to the candles. Once this is done, like I said, you're going to be putting the powders on the skull candle, as you guys can see here. Take your time when doing this, you guys. Do not rush into it. Do not rush into any type of spell work. Make sure to take your time and really focus. Of course, all of these powders were prepared ahead of time, but just for the video purposes, that's what we're doing. So again, like I said, once you do that, now we're going to, rub the powders around the skull candle. Make sure to put some of the powder on the picture as well. So now what we're going to be using here is dragon's blood powder. Now you can buy dragon's blood powder, or you can just get regular incense, that is dragon's blood, and powder it so that you can be able to use it as the powders. Once you do that, you're going to be adding some of the dragon's blood into the skull candle. And dragon's blood is a very, very essential, in particular when it comes to domination spells or when it comes to influence spells. Of course, we're trying to influence their thoughts, their desires. So make sure not to put too much, but make sure not to put too little. So just the mediumship, I guess you can say. So what we're going to use here now is we're going to be using Loadstones. and they have to be red. Now, these could be a bit difficult for some to find depending on what part of the world you're in, but you're going to be needing two. One, a representation of the partner, and the other, a representation of yourself. So you're going to be using two lodestones. They must be the red. And what we're going to do is we're going to put one on each side. So the left being a representation of the female energy, and the right being a representation of the male energy. If you're doing this for same sex, then you would put them obviously together on the same side, whether it's female left or male right, okay? Okay, so once we have that, now what we're going to be using is gold magnetic sand. Now, what is this used for? This is used to be able to pull the partner towards you, like magnets coming towards you, and it will increase their thinking of you. It will increase their desire to be with you. This is a very, very essential type of powder that we use specifically for obsession or for controlling type of spells. So be abundant about it. Don't be too stingy with it, and put a good amount on it. Okay, this is going to help you and assist you in bringing those results a bit quicker. Now, once you do this, what you're going to be doing now is you're going to pretty much say out loud what it is that your petition is, what it is that you're wanting, the desire that you're wanting to. So you would speak to the skull candle as if it was your partner, and you are demanding what it is that you want from them. So now you're going to charge it and chant out loud. I call upon my spirit guides, my archangels, and my ancestors to assist me to empower all these ingredients in this spell that is about to commence. I call upon the archangel of the person or partner's name. This is where you say your partner's name out loud. You were there when he or she was born. I ask you now to be present in the baptism of this candle as a representation of his or her mind, body, and soul. I open this circle all around, all within by magic bound. And what you're going to do now is you're going to get the red candle and you're going to pour some of the red wax in the 7 white candles. So what you're doing is you're opening the circle, and you are also calling on the spirits to assist you with this spell. You're also going to put a few dots on the skull, and you're going to be saying your partner's name. I baptize you now, and you're going to say your partner's name. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, I bless and consecrate this skull as a representation of your mind. I want you, I demand you, I call upon you to come towards me now, and you're going to extinguish the red wax candle. Once you do that, as you guys can see here, make sure to extinguish it with the powders on top of the picture, so that the wax can draw in the magnetic sand and all the powders that you integrated in the skull. So now what you're going to do is you're going to get the black candle. This one's already prepared, obviously. But what you're going to do is you're going to be writing your partner's name, going in an upward towards the wick with their first name, last name, date of birth. And on the other side, you're going to be writing down your first name, last name, and date of birth. Once you do that, what you're going to do is you're going to light the candle, and you're going to say out loud, I call upon the spirits. I call upon the elements, earth, air, fire, water, to please be present, to please assist me in bringing towards me the partner's name out loud. Come quickly, come swiftly, come easily and effortlessly. And once you do this, what you're going to do is you're going to pour some wax on the red skull candle, saying it out loud. I bless this candle and I seal it now with my desire, with all my love, and with all my devotion. I promise to the spirits to love he or she, to give myself completely as that which I ask of him or her. And you're going to pour, again, like I said, the black wax on the skull candle. Once you do this, what you're going to do is you're going to be pouring some of the wax on each of the 7 white candles, as you guys can see here. And once that is done, what you're going to do is you're going to, again, pour the wax on top of the skull candle in a cross sign or signal. And what you're doing is you're sealing it. You're sealing what you've called towards. You are sealing the thoughts, basically, of what you're wanting the partner to have about you. Then you light the skull candle and you extinguish the black candle. The same way you did with the red, with the powders and on the picture. So once you do this, again, you're going to say a chant or a prayer, whatever comes from your heart. In basically what you're doing is you're going to be thanking the spirits. You're going to be saying how you're going to be or treat the partner once they give you the results that you're asking for. And remember, guys, whatever it is that you promise, you must make sure to do. You're basically vowing to the spirits that if they bring you this person, that's exactly what you're going to give in return. So make sure to do so. Once you do this, you're going to wait until all the candles are extinguished. And what you're going to do is you're going to hold the black and red wax and you're going to put it away. You can put it away in a satin cloth, in any cloth that you would like for your safekeeping, okay? And the reason why we do this is because whenever you should feel that they're getting a bit distant, a bit pulling away from you, you can always melt the wax with a match and melt the wax on top of the picture. So you're empowering or putting more power to the spell should you decide to do that in the near future. If you decide to change your mind or you decide to undo the spell, what you're going to do is basically you're going to undo the pictures with the petition and you're going to break the candles, the red and black candle. And that's, you're undoing the spell. So again, like I said, you're going to make sure that all the candles are completely extinguished. Now, the skull candle may take 7 days. For some, it could take a little bit longer. But once that is done, the spell is completed. You're going to toss out the 7 candles of the tea lights, and with the wax of the skull candle that is going to melt into the pictures, you're going to have that as your safekeeping. You're going to put that away. You're going to keep that. Ideally, I tell my clients to make sure to always put them in, under your bed or under the mattress, or not under, in between the mattresses, especially when your partner's coming around, etc. Should you decide to increase it, like I said, or empower it, you can always go back and get the candles, the black candle and the red candle, melt some of that wax into the picture or the little package that you're going to have as safekeeping, and pour some of that wax on there. And pretty much chanting the same chant that you did, except you don't have to do the whole process because those candles were specifically for this spell, okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed this spell. This is not very difficult to do, but it could be a bit challenging only in the sense of finding the ingredients. I highly encourage you guys not to rush into doing this spell. Make sure to go over this video or watch it a couple of times. Make sure to write down the chants so that when you're ready, you're not nervous or anxious or focusing on messing up, because a lot of the times I do get emails of thousands and hundreds of you always giving me amazing feedback of your results. But I also do get one or other, subscribers asking what went wrong because they haven't seen results. So again, understand that the energy that you're going into doing the spell work, that's the results that it's going to render you. So make sure to be grounded, make sure to be centered and focused, okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Love and light to all of you guys, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.